Just as they entered the compound, all hell broke loose. Someone or something triggered the traps, surprising the party with a barrage of powerful magic, sharp stakes, and high-speed projectiles of all kinds. While everyone else was getting simultaneously pierced, electrocuted, burned, frozen, and impaled, one figure stood out. A strange sight of an unarmored human, unkempt, in scant rags and tattered cloak. He was catching arrows, stumbling around the stakes, barely evading the flames and cold waves, all while holding a flask half full of some kind of liquid. At the critical moment, he swiftly pointed it towards one of the lightning rays coming his way, just in time to catch the brunt of the strike. Then, two dark-skinned elven figures, one male, one female, emerged from the castle ruins, both eerily beautiful, but undoubtedly wicked in their ways. They immediately unleashed deadly magic upon the party. One after another, the heroes fell prey to the overwhelming spells directed their way. Yet again, the tipsy man came out on top, almost unharmed, taking a quick sip out of his flask before sprint charging at the male elf. The speed of his approach, the swiftness of his strikes, and the unusual divine power behind them caught the dark elf off guard. Moving away before the drow could even think to counterattack, the wobbly master taunted his opponent. "Heh! Come and get me, fool!" This visibly struck a nerve. The elf unleashed a chilling wave of cold air which engulfed our hero. "Brr! Stop it! It tickles!" he shouted, with a shivering but playful smirk on his face. Blast after blast, the drow found himself dumbfounded by how ineffective his powerful magic arsenal had been against this seemingly primitive opponent. Meanwhile, the hero's furious pace and weird, unpredictable movement patterns were slowly taking a toll on the dark elf. The elven mage was getting absolutely battered whenever his opponent closed the distance, too slow and inaccurate to counter-strike with a scimitar in his own hands. The rest of the party pulled together and surrounded the female drow. She was a force to be reckoned with, clearly much more powerful than the male. The heroes were grunting and squealing from the force of her powerful spells. However, she was outnumbered, 4-1, left to her own devices. Her male companion, harassed by the stumbling brawler, left her unprotected. Realizing she has no chance, she quickly mumbled an incantation and disappeared. The male drow figured out it's time to book it as well. He turned his face towards the castle and teleported himself inside, disappearing into the darkness. "Ha, that was close," said the druid. "Nah, we were fine. Next time I'll catch that wimp. He won't have anywhere to hide," replied the drunken warrior, emptying his flask in one big gulp. Alright everybody, if you liked my sloppy intro, because obviously I cannot hold a flawless monologue for more than like a minute, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button, you know the drill, it's not the first video, and yeah, do all of that stuff. So today we have something fairly simple compared to most of the other builds that I talk about on this channel. It's basically the stuff that it's like something that I like to call the super saver. Basically the idea of the character is to have as much as high of saving bonuses as possible. So all saves are actually, you're proficient in all 6 saves, and your bonuses all are above 10. which is quite a lot, even at level 20. So the key features and spells. Obviously, we need Aura of Protection from Paladin, and we also need Diamond Soul from Monk, because the combination of these two features results in plus 11 to all 6 saving throws. So depending on your ability score, some scores are going to be, some saving throws are going to be even higher, obviously depending on that. So let's actually see how we do it. Well, obviously not only these two features, we are kind of dependent on this build is dependent on ability score increases, because Paladin's Aura of Protection works off of Charisma, so we need to maximize our Charisma as well. Key and Flurry of Blows, this actually enables us to be somewhat less squishy in terms of attack rolls against us, against the build that we are playing, at least reviewing at the moment. Drunken Technique, Tipsy Sway, Evasion, these are all Drunkard's Luck, these are all Monk features. We are going to talk about those soon. And finally, last but not least, Bless and Shield of Faith. These two are kind of interchangeable depending on the situation. For example, if you are fighting a lot of monsters with a lot of that inflict a lot of saving throws on you, you're kind of better off with the Bless. And if you're fighting monsters that are attacking your abilities, your armor class, obviously you're better off with the Shield of Faith. So yeah, that's at least how I see this build. So defining characteristics, unfortunately this is a level 20 character concept, so up until level 20 you won't be able to experience like the basic full set of features that most other characters have access to. However, still, as we already said, level 20, yes, but at level 20 you have plus 11 bonus to all saving throws, which is, even at that level, is pretty high. Basically, it kind of guarantees that you're going to have at least somewhere around a 50% chance to roll a successful saving throw, which is, at that level, is pretty significant. Especially if you consider that in a situation where, for example, DCs exceed 20, 21, sometimes even like 22, 24, plus 11 bonus to a saving throw is actually enables you to even have like any chance, because with something like a plus 3 to the saving throw at level 20, you have no chance against those DCs. Difficulty challenges, obviously. Yeah. So due to the fact that we are playing a monk here, it's just an extremely mobile build, capable of having like almost double the speed of just your like usual human character. Versatile and all encompassing defensively, not just saving throws. You have obviously evasion, you have Drunkard's Luck, for example, you have Drunken Technique. We are going to see what these do in particular, but all of these features enable you to have sort of a balanced and well, as it's written here, versatile approach to a defense. However, due to the fact that we focus so much on saving throws and defenses, this build in particular is very limited with its offensive capabilities. You do have some damage, especially from Paladin's Divine Smite, but it's not enough to warrant a level 20 build that focuses on damage, obviously, because there are many builds that are going to be able to deal much more damage than like 70-80 that this build is capable of inflicting. And obviously combining Paladin and Monk is kind of like an unconventional role-playing approach, so it's definitely something you can do, but it's going to open up some interesting role-playing just like avenues for you to explore. We are starting off with a human, and the idea is to have as many ability scores with a +2 right at the beginning as possible. Now, due to the fact that we need to up our charisma, and the point buy system kind of doesn't allow for like 16 right away, we are actually forced to have 15, but fret not, we are going to up that with our ability score increases. That's why they are actually very, very important in this particular build compared to many other builds. Obviously have +1 to all 6 abilities. This is obviously the only choice, the only viable choice for a build of this type, because we are actually focusing on all 6 abilities here. Primarily charisma, but every single ability here matters. And yeah, obviously the human features and languages, size, like alignment, all of that usual stuff. Now, background, I actually think due to the fact that combining Paladin and Monk is somewhat, well, I won't say weird, but definitely unconventional, because those two classes couldn't be farther from each other in terms of mechanics and even role-playing. Like Paladin focuses on a divine power, drawing power from like divine aspects from God, and Monk focuses on his inner self, or her inner self, depending on how you want to play. So those two characters, like Paladin seeks extrinsic power source, and Monk seeks intrinsic power source. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting mix. So that's why I kind of see it as a far traveler in terms of background. You're kind of like a weird all around. So I think that's the best way to roleplay this character. Again, this is my opinion. You can do whatever you want. And also having insight and perception as your skills. It's always good to have perception as your skill. One of the skills that you're proficient in. Musical instrument gaming set, obviously you are going to be upping your charisma. And this is actually going to even synergize with your monk. Because as a 3rd level monk, you're going to get access to a performance skill proficiency, so you'll be able to play those musical instruments. And yeah, that's that. One extra language, obviously, there's that. Feats, none. We cannot afford to take, well, we can kind of afford one feat, but I don't know. I still think that having a +2 to your dexterity, or maybe even constitution, depending on whether you want more health or more AC and ability to hit stuff, I think that's more important than some feat. Because having 14 in dex is at level 20 is kind of low. I think you need at least 16. That's at least how I see the character. Okay, so back to that. Now Paladin. Paladin, in terms of oaths, by principle you can take any oath. But I think Ancients works best here, because the tenets of the Ancients kind of... They can kind of work as a backstory on their own. For example, you can be a character that's so burdened by the oath of preserving like good light and stuff like that, because it's all about the light, that he or she gradually sinks into the alcoholism, obviously, yeah, because we are playing a Drunken Master monk here. But I mean, you can just roleplay that. It's obviously not about that, it's much more. But yeah, you can definitely explore that aspect too. It's just a flavor. Flavor-wise, it's nothing mechanically. But yeah, there's that. So the features themselves, obviously, divine sense. Our charisma is going to be maxed, so you will have access to 6 divine sense, I don't know, charges, let's call them like that, per day. Lay on hands, you're going to have 30, a pool of hit points of 30. Not too much for level 20, but still able to heal at least one of your party members to a decent enough health to be able to survive. Protection, fighting style, if you think about it, monks using their unarmed attacks and unarmored movement and unarmored defense, they really cannot take defense fighting style because it doesn't make sense. You cannot wear armor if you want to have that nice juicy monk speed. Dueling, yeah, you can take dueling, but then again, dueling is one of the worst, in my opinion, fighting styles because, yeah, at the beginning, +2 to your damage rolls is significant, but later on, having like +2 at level 20 is almost insignificant at that point because monsters have hundreds of hit points. But you can take dueling if you really want. It's going to increase your damage output by like 6 to 8 damage per round, depending on how many times you hit. I personally think that protection makes the most sense because you're kind of like a defensive character, and since you cannot take defense for yourself, you can kind of protect your allies. Obviously you would need to wear a shield, so pick your poison. Dueling, if you want dueling, you'll be able to move. Protection, you'll be able to wield your shield, and unfortunately at that point you won't be able to move as fast as Monk can move. But I still think this is a good enough style to take, so whatever you want. Divine Smite, obviously, damage output, we are going to be a 6th level Paladin, so you'll have 4 first level spell slots and 2 second level spell slots. You'll be able to output some type of damage. It's not going to be much, but being able to add additional 2d8, 3d8 damage on each of your attacks is at least like 6 attacks per day. It's going to be something at least. Divine Health, you're immune to disease. It's always good. Oath of Ancients, we already talked about that. You get some of these additional spells. You can prepare. Misty Step is good to have. Speak with Animals, Ensnaring Strike, Moonbeam. Yeah, basically there's that. Channel Divinities kind of work on their own. Not as good as some other oaths, but still they can be useful. This is more like a flavor choice than anything else. 1 ability score increase at level 4. Extra attack at level 5, and finally Aura of Protection at level 6, the main feature of the Paladin that we are actually even interested in. So yeah, there's that for Paladin. Now, moving on to the Monks, if you don't know, and for all of you that do know, they have a bunch of features. They are the most feature-rich class, like obviously in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. At every level you get something. So you get these, like you get unarmored defense. Obviously here you cannot wield armor and shield. So again, you don't have to take protection fighting style from Paladin. You can take dueling just to have like some kind of synergy with your unarmored defense and stuff like that. Obviously your AC is not going to be too big. It's not going to be stellar. But still 15 AC at level 20, it's kind of okay. Yeah, you're going to get hit a lot, but then again your movement speed is going to be 55, up to a 65 with your features. So yeah, martial arts, one of the best features of Monk at low levels. You get it at 1st level. Basically you get a free bonus action attack, which uses your martial arts dice. These dice like improve themselves as you level up. Obviously you can use the dice instead of the monk weapon, and monk weapons are short swords and simple melee weapons, so they cannot be heavy or two-handed. So yeah, this is good. This is actually good. This is going to help you stay competitive in terms of damage output for a decent portion of your career, at least in tier 1 and tier 2. Unarmored movement, obviously first of all we get the key at 2nd level, we get 2 key points, and every level up we get additional keys. So at level 20, at level 14 of our monk, we are going to have 14 key points, and these key points you can use to use these 3 basic features. Later on you'll be able to use it for a bit more based on your Drunken Master monk way of monk monastic tradition. So yeah, Flurry of Blows is the main one that you're going to be interested in. Patient defense, yeah, you're kind of like, you will be able to use some defensive measures as well. You're going to need them sometimes, probably more often than probably even like you think. And Step of the Wind, kind of not useful in a combination with Drunken Master, but still being able to use a dash action on your turn, having 55 movement speed. So you can move 55 feet, then you can action dash 55, and then you can bonus action dash 55. That's a lot. That's actually a lot. So yeah, these are all good features. Flurry of Blows primarily the best one of the three, for you at least. Unarmored movement, you get at second level as well, so your speed immediately increases by 10 feet. This bonus increases as you level up. At level 20 you will have a 14th level monk with a plus 25 movement speed. So your movement speed, as we already covered, is going to be 55. Right off the bat, just base movement speed. It's going to be insane. I played a monk, it had 65 movement speed. I took some feats for increased move speed, and it's just crazy. You basically cover the whole battleground. That doesn't matter, like if monster is like 150 feet away from you, you need like 2 rounds to get to it. It really helps close those distances. It really does. Deflect missiles, obviously we take on a monastic tradition here at level 3. So first of all we get deflect missiles. It's a basic monk feature. You can basically reduce the damage of the ranged weapon attacks that are coming your way by 1d10 plus dex modifier plus monk level. Now this feature, the reason why I didn't make it red is because your dex modifier is not going to, it's going to be like 14, 16 for the majority of your career. Yeah, I mean, your monk level is also going to be fairly late into your character progression. So at level 9 you'll be able to like nullify 1d10 plus 6 or even like 5. It's not a lot of damage, but still having a reaction to reduce the damage that incoming your way, it's always good to have. And obviously one of the additional features is you can use the caught arrow or bolt and fling it back to the attacker and deal some damage back to it. Obviously it costs a key point, but that's why key points actually are that important, and it's one of the main monk features. Ability score increase, well, first of all, drunken techniques and stuff like that. Bonus proficiencies, I already mentioned previously. Performance skill, which is actually going to be synergistic with your character, with your particular character, because your charisma is going to be maxed. So your performance is going to be plus 11 at level 20 and even before. So yeah, you also gain proficiency with brewer's supplies. Obviously you're a way of the Drunken Master, so it only makes sense for you to be proficient with alcohol. It's actually, that's one of, like, this is a ribbon flavor feature, but you can really roleplay it and have fun with it. Like a stumbling Drunken Master on a battlefield that hits stuff with its flask. 3 ability score increase, obviously drunken technique as well. When you use Flurry of Blows, you gain a benefit of the disengage action. Now this feature is sort of like a poor man's mobile feat. Mobile feat is one of the best feats for monk because it gives you additional movement speed. And it also gives you the benefit of the disengage action once you just swing at the creature. So this is sort of like not the same thing, but whenever you use Flurry of Blows, and you're going to be using that fairly often, especially if you get surrounded by enemies and stuff like that, you just swing at your opponents and you don't have to like hit or miss. It doesn't matter whether you hit or miss them. You just use your Flurry of Blows and you can basically disengage for free. This feature at level 3 sort of combines Flurry of Blows and Step of the Wind in a single feature. Sort of. Not the same, but similar. Now, finally, at level 4, 8, and 12, you get 3 ability score increase. These actually really matter for this particular build, because you need to up your charisma. And again, in my opinion, upping your dex to 16 is probably the best choice. But you can definitely up your constitution as well. It really won't matter too much. That's that. Now, at level 7, you get a bunch of features. At level 4, you also get slow fall, which reduces your falling damage by the amount equal to 5 times your monk level. You also get extra attack. Unfortunately, it's redundant. If for those of you that don't know, extra attack from 2 classes doesn't stack, so you can only have like 1 extra attack. You cannot have 2 extra attacks. So yeah, this is sort of like a redundant feature, because you already have it from a paladin. Unfortunately, for this character to work, some sacrifices had to be made. Stunning Strike also at level 5, almost useless for you particularly, because your wisdom is going to remain at 14. You can make a argument for, like, example, you can leave your dexterity at 14 and your wisdom at 16. But then in that case you're really going to miss a lot of stuff. So even like in that case, your Stunning Strike is not going to matter. Because you can either choose to be able to hit stuff more often, or yeah, I mean, when you hit the creature and you're not going to hit it a lot with the 14 in dex, you can spend 1 key point and attempt to stun, but your stun DC is going off of your wisdom. It's not going to be too high, so for you, Stunning Strike is not the primary focus, obviously, of this build. It's not the primary focus. Now, Keen Powered Strike is good because your unarmed strikes are magical and magical weapons, and they overcome resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. Evasion at level 7, you kind of become immune to dex saving throws. Your dex saving throws are going to be high at level 20. It's going to be plus 14. So that's like a bunch of bonus, and being able to save those dex saves means that you take no damage. And even if you fail, you take half. So all of those fireballs, lightning bolts, and stuff like that, they are going to deal like literally almost no damage to you. Stillness of Mind, yeah, I mean, you can end one of the conditions, one of these 2 conditions. Purity of the Body, kind of redundant. Because at level 3 of your character, you already get a Paladin's. Where is it? Oh, it's Monk. There's Paladin. You get the Fable Divine Health. In this case, you get additional immunity to disease, to poison, which is, yeah, sort of okay. So you're immune to poison and disease compared to just disease. Yeah, kind of a lot of monsters can deal poison damage, so it's not that redundant, but still, this is like level 16. At level 16, it's not going to matter too much to you anyway. So, moving back to our Drunken Master, Drunkard's Luck at level 11, it's really, really good. Unfortunately, it's very, very, very high into your character progression, so in that case, it's not that good, but still, when you get it, whenever you make an ability check, attack roll, or a saving throw and have disadvantage on the roll, for whatever reason you have disadvantage, you can spend 2 key points to cancel the disadvantage on roll. So this feature is like almost the key for this build to like be really, really good at saving throws. Particularly saving throws. Because there are a bunch of monsters at those levels that inflict some kind of disadvantage on any of these 3 things: ability checks, attack rolls, or saving throws. So you'll be able to just cancel that negative, like a debuff that's inflicted upon you. So this is like really, really good. Moving back to like the basic monk features, we have Tongue of the Sun and Moon. You can understand all spoken languages, and the creatures can understand you. It's like a ribbon feature at level 11, level 19 of your character, but it's fairly high level for your build, but still, being able to understand languages means that you're a tad bit more versatile. And then finally at level 14 we have Diamond Soul, which makes you proficient in all 6 saving throws. Additionally, whenever you make a saving throw and fail, you can spend 1 key point and re-roll it and take the second result. So combined Drunkard's Luck, for example, if you have disadvantage, you cancel that disadvantage and then still fail, and you can spend 1 additional key point and then re-roll it again and take the second result. So you really have really good odds of making those saving throws. Unfortunately, again, level 20 character concept. It's more of a fun theory crafting concept, but if you ever play a campaign or maybe a one-shot where you know you're going to reach level 20, or maybe you're even starting at level 20, give this one a go. I think it's going to be fun for you. So finally, some spells. Not a lot of spells to choose, only a couple of really good ones. Bless obviously gives us additional d4 on all saving throws and attack rolls. Particularly we are interested in saving throws, but also just bumping our attack roll bonus a little bit more every time we roll those attacks is going to make our flurry of blows that much more useful. Obviously, in a case where you get surrounded and you need to rely on your AC, which is fairly low. Unfortunately, we had to make some sacrifices to get all of these fancy bonuses. You can increase your AC with a +2 bonus. Both of these spells are concentration, so you'll have to choose which one to use. Shield of Faith lasts up to 10 minutes, so it's a bit like better. It's a bonus action. Depending on the situation, each one of these is like really good. Divine Favor, it's third spell with the concentration. But in a case where, for example, you know you're not in that much danger, you can kind of stack this one on with your flurry of blows and extra attack. Being able to dish out 4 attacks per turn with additional 1d4 radiant damage on all of those 4 hits is actually not that bad. Level 2, probably the best spell that you can take is Aid. Unfortunately, it's only going to give you like 5 hit points. But at level 6, even like at level 10, it's always good to have like additional 5 hit points. Why not? Magic Weapon as well. It's going to help you increase your accuracy, your precision, because again your dexterity is going to be fairly low, so it's going to stack with your attack bonus and some of your damage output. And finally, I think the third spell to take is Lesser Restoration. You're kind of a guy that's defensive. It's kind of like you're canceling the all kinds of conditions and stuff. Like even your monk feature gives you the ability to end one of the effects on yourself, Charmed or Frightened. So kind of Lesser Restoration works in a similar way. Even like flavor wise, this kind of makes the most sense in a combination with your monk. So yeah, there's that. That said, like progression is fairly straightforward. You take 6 levels in Paladin, you get everything we talked about in Paladin, and then after that you just go 14 levels in Monk and get all the stuff in Monk. Obviously, at the first level, at the first ability score increase, you're going to take +1 in Charisma and Intellect. Nice and easy, like all the numbers are going to be even, so no minuses, no negative bonuses, negative ability modifiers, and your Charisma is going to be +3 right away at level 4. So at level 6 you're going to have already +3 to all of your saving throws, so it's nothing to be ashamed of. As you level up your monk, you're going to get, you're obviously going to be maxing your charisma, which is, you're going to max your charisma at level, what's it, like level 12 of your monk, no, level 8 of your monk, so that's level 14 of your character. At level 14, you're going to have a +5 to all of your saving throws. And then finally at level 20 you're going to have plus 11, which is going to be a huge bump. That's about it for this build. If you like it, again, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button, get notified every time I upload new videos. I have a couple more of these fun builds, let's say like that. Not all of my builds are obviously even going to be able to be like murderous machines and like stuff like that that deals a heck ton of damage. There's only like a finite amount of builds that are even able to reach those like 150 to 200 damage outputs. And yeah, these builds are actually fun for me to build and talk about. So yeah, again, if you like this video, if you like me talking about it, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button once again. For the final time, Min Max Munchkin out, and see you soon.